What's up, everybody? I go by the name of Domo.
And I go by the name of Yoshiko.
We sit with entrepreneurs and artists across disciplines to share their stories, insight, and gems. Their journey will inspire you to think about community and your own narrative, how it shapes who you are, and what your legacy will be.
You're listening to No Blueprint.
No Blueprint.
No Blueprint.
No Blueprint.
You are listening to No Blueprint.
How's it going? My name's Meron Menghistab, Meron Menghistab, and I am from the South End. I'm from Columbia City. I grew up here, and then a little while back moved to New York. Now I'm a professional photographer, working mostly in like editorial, some commercial work, but a lot of kind of portrait work and like a lot of journalism work as well. So
Nice. Where were you born?
I was actually born in Atlanta.
Okay.
I'm a Grady baby. I was born in Atlanta. My parents, when they came to America from Eritrea, they went to school in Louisiana. Okay. And then after school, my parents, that's the whole story in itself, but found themselves in Atlanta. Probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest, someone else can check that, but it's one of the biggest Habesha communities.
Okay.
So I think that's probably why they
went
that. There. Yeah, so me and my brother were born in Atlanta, but we moved to Holly Park when I was maybe, I don't know, I must have been 3, I'm guessing.
Okay.
Around when I was like 10, I want to say, we moved to kind of like right next to the Vistas.
Okay.
So I've always been kind of
South End.
All the memory I have of life is at that age was in Seattle.
Okay. And then what school in Louisiana?
They went to Southern.
Okay.
Southern Louisiana, yeah.
Okay. My father went to Grambling.
Oh, really? My dad tried to get me to go to Grambling.
Okay.
Which is hella funny. So that's.
I'm glad that you did not go to Grambling.
My dad made it because his homie, his friend taught there.
Yeah.
And the dude was just in town.
Yeah.
And I was like applying. It was just like a very off chance. And the guy was sitting in my living room. He was also the coach of the soccer team. So my dad's like, "You play soccer? You know, this Habesha dude's telling me it's a good school." And I honestly was interested. It's a HBCU.
Yeah.
I was at the time very interested in going. You know, I was thinking about it.
Yeah.
And then I looked up the temperature.
Well, I'm just glad you didn't go to Ruston. First of all, I'm glad that you didn't go to Ruston, Louisiana. No disrespect to Grambling or the folks from Grambling. The education is not
Damn.
Not on point like that.
You know, it is what it is.
It is what it is. So your parents, both your parents went to Southern, graduated.
My dad graduated. My mom, she didn't finish there.
Okay.
She went on to get a degree in Seattle, but she didn't finish there. They moved to Atlanta once my brother came to the picture.
Nice. And so they were in Atlanta for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then y'all came along at 3. You moved to Seattle, South Seattle.
Yeah.
Cool. What did your parents do in South Seattle?
My mom at the time working as like AMCO parking.
Okay.
Like just like in downtown.
Yeah.
She went back to school and she went on to do like accounting work for most of my young life.
Nice.
My dad, what did he do? A move or shit? I don't know. He did a lot of things.
Right.
He actually, that corner right over here on what is that? It's like a teriyaki joint now, but it has like the little overhead. It's on the corner, like when it's starting to snake down right down. I know it doesn't make sense on podcast format, but my dad used to own a bodega there.
Okay, on Rainier.
Yeah, on Rainier.
Okay.
So when I was a kid, a lot of time he was doing that, but then he also like did some real estate stuff. And then when I was in like middle school, high school, he ran a Subway franchise. So serial
entrepreneur.
Yeah, I mean,
getting it however it needed to be.
Exactly. As long as we were good, we were good.
That's what's up. Mind. Yeah.
100%.
Okay. That's what's up. And so, what kind of kid were you?
What type of kid was I? Talk too much, mostly.
Yeah. Okay.
I would say is the best way to explain me. I don't know. I mean, inquisitive. I feel like I always. My dad used to get annoyed by it.
Okay.
He talked too much, he talked too much. But my mom, she's always we go to church and I was just asking people a whole lot of questions if I didn't understand what they were doing.
Yeah.
I think that's the best way to explain me as a kid. I didn't get like the idea of, that's just how it is.
Right.
Like that concept, I just refused at a very young age
to accept life as what it is.
Yeah. Like, no. You have to thoroughly explain to me why that happens.
Right. And most of the time, that doesn't make sense.
Right. And I can see as a kid how you either really enjoy that or that's annoying as hell.
What did you learn about being Habesha? And was there a specific person that taught you about your culture?
That taught me about my culture? I wouldn't say specific person, mostly just because from the Vistas to Holly Park or all that, it was such a dense Habesha community.
Yeah.
So it was just always around.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I had a singular, not to say yours, but like I didn't necessarily have a singular access point to Habesha-ness,
Right.
I guess.
Right.
I do think I never really had that many Habesha influences creatively.
Right.
Like most of the people very like professionally, the older siblings or cousins or people you heard about that were doing well was always kind of in a collegiate format. So
Okay, so college was heavy.
yeah, all that kind of the immigrant narrative.
Okay.
But I don't know. Yeah, in terms of I don't know, my family, everybody,
Right.
it was so specific. We lived in Habesha community. It
Right,
wasn't like,
so you had it all around
yeah,
you
always,
all day,
all
every
the
day.
time.
Okay. What schools?
I went to Loyal Heights. They used to ship African kids up from the South End. I still don't understand. And it's one of those things in hindsight I didn't get.
But
It's in
the
Ballard,
busing?
for those who don't know.
Yeah, the busing.
Yeah, we used to, it would just take a bunch of Habesha kids from the Vistas and just ship us to
North
the North Seattle school. I didn't really get it.
Yeah.
It was kids I grew up with in the neighborhood going that way. Me and my brother did it. He went to Mercer after he's about 2 grades, I guess, worth of age. So he's 3 years older than me.
Yeah.
And then at 6th grade,
Yeah.
I hated it. Oh, not hated it. I just was like, I want not to be up there.
Right.
My parents could just tell I was like interested in Mercer or Washington or something.
Right.
And my cousins at the time, they went to Summit K through 12.
Okay. Where's Summit?
Not around anymore. It's
Okay.
Jane Addams Middle School now.
Okay.
But at the time, it was a K through 12 school alternative education.
Okay.
I don't even know how my cousins ended up there, but their parents were really into it. I'm guessing because I remember being a kid and it really swayed my mom, and she was just like, "Oh, your cousins go here," and their parents say it's great.
Right.
So I went there in 6th grade.
Okay.
It was K through 12, so I went 6th grade through 12th grade. I finished the rest
At
of
Summit.
my, school academic education.
Okay. Did you know that you were going to college?
No, not at all.
Okay.
100%.
Tell me about that.
Okay. I mean, look, again, that kind of ties in what I was saying about when I was a kid. I didn't really, you had to answer these questions for me kind of mentality. And my
Why do I have to do this?
Right. And my relationship with school, and I always joke, I don't know what kind of person I would have became if I didn't go to Summit K through 12. Mostly because the teachers there, it was a small enough class size, small enough. The teachers their relationship with the kids were so personal that they could see my personality type and then work around me.
Right.
Which kept me interested and kept me thinking about, well, if you're not going to do it the way we're telling you to, figure it out.
Right.
And so the college process, my outlook was, I'm not going to pay to go to take Science 103. Like that, no, I'm not going to do that. Like I looked at it as once school was done after 12th grade.
Yeah.
I didn't know the language for it, but I basically was thinking like it should be trade school. Like it should be like, what is a skill set you want to invest time and energy into? And that doesn't necessarily have to be trade work, but like if one wants to be a doctor, why are they taking art classes in freshman year of college? Or I remember I was looking at, even though I started looking at art schools, it was like the core curriculums were so broad. I'm not saying you shouldn't, maybe you might get interested in something else, but the design of it was so do everything till the very end. And so I was just really turned off by the idea of college. And I just thought I'd rather just move somewhere and intern or whatever. Like I just didn't get it.
Right. That's so interesting.
I spent.
It's real.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's super interesting, but it's real. Like, and I always ask this question of, we've all been designed to feel like college was the way, and I have to also acknowledge my privilege of having access to attend undergrad and a master's program. But we've been told that this is the way, and now a lot of us have more access when we're thinking about Black and brown folks, and obviously Southeast Asian Native folks. A lot of us have more access than we've had before. But just because all of us have access now we can, as we look at this critically, I think you were asking the question very early, like, is this really the way all of us should be going?
And then it's like, as you get older, I didn't, it's interesting to look back at things that you internalized at a young age but didn't know why.
Yeah.
And I think ultimately it's just like I know for my father, for example, he went to school, came to America, saved up the money. He was doing really well at the time. He was in the UAE and working, and he's a little hustler. He was hustling, and then the narrative that you get sold is, the land of wealth and greatness is America.
Right.
And he come to America and he went to school, and then there was a whole issue he ran into. He graduated like top of his class in computer engineering.
Right.
That was right before, big tech boom of the 80s, and he was in a position to do really well. But then because he didn't know the roads of the visa work to get these jobs, he got screwed over. And he was driving a cab in Atlanta by a year or two after he graduated top of his class of computer engineering.
Right.
And I think I internalized that. Now I think about it. I internalized that, but as a kid, you don't think about it. But I just spent my whole life watching my dad build a life outside of the institutions that we're supposed to follow.
Right.
Because it wasn't built for him.
Right.
It's just not. It's not built for us in a lot. I think if you can get what you need out of it, you abuse it. Like you use it. But I don't think a lot of the things we're told that are the key to success are, academically speaking, are as foolproof as we're told they are.
Absolutely.
And I think at a young age, I
So what'd you do?
So we had a counselor who came into our school. She, I figured out how to hold a 3.0 average.
Okay.
So no one would bother me. I was like, if I have a 3.0, no one will, I'm not a bad student, but I'm chilling.
Right.
She looked at my grade point average. She's like, well, you should go to UW. I was like, I don't want to go to UW. I saw what my friends, older friends are doing. I told her I was interested in photography. I had mentioned, I didn't even know you could be a professional photographer, 100% at that age. It was a disconnect. You didn't think about it.
Yeah.
You just saw pictures you liked.
Yeah.
You didn't think someone got paid to do it.
Right.
Right. And I told her I was really into photography, and she's like, well, here are some art schools. And I started looking at art schools. I was in a program called Summer Search, and they really were pressing me to start. It's basically a program to help you get into college. So they were always kind of pressing me to find schools to apply for, and everything just felt very disconnected from my interests. And then I told her, I was like, I just want to do photo right away. Like, I don't want to do these art schools where I'm gonna have to move to Connecticut and do all this shit I don't care about.
Right.
I was just like, I want to just take pictures and learn more about photography.
Yeah.
Again, at the time, I didn't understand that. I was basically asking for a trade, like a trade approach of like, let's just do it.
Right.
And then she actually mockingly told me, I took it as mocking. She mockingly told me, she was like, oh, well, I've only heard of one school that does something like that. My daughter went there for engineering.
What's that?
Rochester Institute of Technology.
Okay.
And I just, I was sitting there and she said that to me, kind of mocking, like, that's the only school now for engineering, not something like art,
Right.
Little did she know it's in Rochester, New York, home of Kodak. I looked it up, and it was arguably one of the most respected photo schools in the country. So it was complete luck. I found Rochester. Yeah, literally. And it was my pettiness that made me look it up, which I always think is funny.
Yeah.
Personally, because she was just kind of like, it's engineering school, but I've only heard that's the only place I heard that does that. So I applied. I got in. They hooked it up with financial aid, which was dope because most of these schools most art schools or institutions are designed for wealthy people.
Because they're expensive as hell.
Right. I mean, I remember I applied to NYU, and they gave us this estimate. If you were to get accepted, here's an estimate of financial aid.
Right.
And me and my mom laughed together.
Right. Because
we're just like, this is ridiculous. I would have walked away with 6-figure,
in debt.
And I've been living in New York.
Right.
Fuck that.
Right.
But Rochester hooked it up. Me and my dad went to visit. He didn't even know it was a photo school when we went.
Hey.
I had him thinking I was going to engineering school. And we get out there, and he's like, we did the whole tour of the art building. He's like, that was cool, man. I'm glad you can get to keep doing photo. When are we going to see the engineering stuff? And I was like, I need to break it down for you what's happening right now.
Right. Did you?
Yeah, I mean, I told him I was, at that age, I was very respectful of my parents.
Yeah.
But they knew my personality trait of, you're either going to ride with me on this or not. Like, I'll figure it out. Yeah. Like, I was very independent in ways of, like, I don't care if I'm the only one who's interested in doing it. Like, I'll figure it out by myself if I have to.
So you graduate from Rochester Institute of Technology?
Yeah.
What year?
2011.
Okay. So then, like, you ended up staying in New York?
So I graduated. So the summer before I graduated, I spent a summer before I graduated, so between junior and senior year of college, I moved to New York and I interned at the Source magazine.
Okay.
Which was
I was about to say,
quite the experience.
I was going to say, what was the Source doing at that time? Because they were
living.
Yeah, they were almost out of here.
Yeah, they weren't. It was. Listen,
Okay.
they were still running on the legacy, which is great because I got to go to I was reviewing concerts and
Right.
I just got to travel New York and listen to rap. I was a huge rap hip hop head as a kid. People were coming into the office that I was talking to. And I was hearing albums before they came out.
Right.
That was right when Kendrick was coming around the corner. In terms of more mainstream, I had. Yeah, but it was just like it was culturally. I'm very happy I did it. But it did bite me with the bug of just work. I want to work. Right. I saw people working, and I was working under the photo editor there, art director, and I was like, "Is there a job for me here?"
Yeah.
And because in my mind, I was low key like, he's an older guy, and I was just like, whenever he's ready to leave, I'm more than happy to become the new kind of change the pace of this magazine. That was the way I was thinking at that age of like, I know I don't have it now. I'm too young, but I'm more than happy to pay the dues. That means I'm going to be able to be here and do something with this magazine.
Absolutely.
And his outlook was like, I mean, if you stay, we can. He was basically like, he didn't know when I was going back. So I just had randomly asked him, and he was just kind of like, if you stay, I'm gonna figure out how to get you paid. Because I was photo assisting for money and some other random odd job stuff, but that was unpaid internship.
Right.
And he was like, you're doing work, you know how to do things here. I would fight to try to figure out how to get you paid. Mm-hmm. And there's another guy who's interning as a writer at the same time, and he stayed, and I watched him kind of grow his career. And I remember being like mad.
Right. Yeah.
It's like, I could have done that. But anyway, sorry, tangent. But that bit me with the bug to work. So I graduated. My parents were in Rochester.
Okay.
And
they moved?
Oh no, sorry, just to help me,
I was like, what?
Graduation day.
Yeah.
And I was like, Mom, I'm about to just move to New York. I'll pack myself in a bag. I'll just go there right now. Like, I had a homie's cousin who lived there who would put me up. I was like, I'll figure it out. Yeah. And my mom was just kind of like, you've been in school for so long. Yeah. Come home, chill. Chill for a second. Yeah. Like, catch your breath. You've been in school for a very long time. Yeah. Which was great advice. So I came back to Seattle.
Okay.
I came back to Seattle, and I was like, all right, let me try to find some work around here. Like, photo assisting mostly was like my outlook of how I would at least try to make some money. So I tried to hit up a bunch of photographers here, a bunch of dudes I never met in my life. Yeah. They all gave me kind of the same spiel of, oh, yeah, I got this assistant I used for the last 7 years. But if I ever need somebody, I'll hit you up. It's like, you ain't gonna hit me up. Yeah. So that was kind of desperate for work. But then I came across this job. I started writing kind of like, it's called Jump Off TV. It's like this English rap site. It's like hip hop news. Okay. And so I basically became a blogger. Like, and I had been running my own kind of thing where I had learned the channels of how to find music at that time. And I was good at it. I knew how to make posts that were viral, and you get paid if they change the rate if it goes viral or something. Interesting. So I saved up money doing that, looking for jobs in Seattle, but at some point I just got really turned off by the industry here. Right. In terms of access, I just didn't know it. I had one buddy who worked at a studio, but he would, what can you do for me? You can't necessarily plug me in straight into some job. Right. But I had resources in New York in terms of I knew where to at least start looking. Right. So after a couple months, I moved to New York. Okay. I just went, saved up some money, and I went. Yeah. Do it, and then what did you do? Because I had been here that summer before, and I had photo assisted some photographers. Summer before I graduated, that is. I hit up all those people, and I was just like, man, look, I was sending out like 30 emails, 40 emails a day, just like trying to find work. Like, anyone's like, hey, what's up? I just moved here. I'm trying to, move me in the right direction. Yeah. And eventually I got lucky, and these photographers that I had met before started hiring me, but then they have friends who are photographers, and you just kind of get into a circle of people who will hire you, which is dope.
Was it consistent at all, or was it like?
Oh, never feast or famine.
Okay.
Till this day.
Listen,
That's the freelance gift and curse.
Sounds about right.
Yeah,
sounds about right.
But something that's funny is a lot of that freelance roles you don't necessarily get paid right away.
Yeah.
And I remember such a specific memory that I moved there in August of 2011, I guess.
Okay.
And end of August. And I somehow very luckily got just a run of jobs right when I got there. And I was just blowing through the money I saved because I'm like, I just work.
Right.
And then, day rates are day rates. Like, I'm chilling. I just made more than minimum wage. That's good money.
Yeah.
And I was pretty low on money. I emailed somebody, and I was like, hey, man, like, another photo assistant, but I had been doing it for a while. And I was like, how long do you think it usually takes to get paid? He's like, like 30, 45 days. Yeah. And I just was like, excuse me? I was supposed to wait
like what?
6 weeks for my money?
Like what?
Ooh, so I had to stretch out those savings longer than I thought. But, because I really only went with, like,
can you survive the drought?
yeah, exactly. That's all it is.
Survive the drought.
That's the name of the game, is surviving the drought.
Absolutely. So you've taken some photos from some iconic folks. I've seen your photos of Trevor Noah. I've seen your photos of like Selma Hayek. But I know, like, as a photographer, sometimes those aren't your favorite photos. Those are the photos everyone looks at and they're like, oh man, you took photos of this person. Like, who were some of the folks, or what are some of the photos that you've taken that stand out for you?
I think for me, you hit it right on the head, to be honest. Like, I think the celebrity work is fun. Yeah. And it's really fun to make images. Like, I shot, I forget who it was. I just remember seeing people like Cardi B. I shot this photo of Cardi B, and people turned it into like illustrations all over Instagram. And I just thought it was so tight. I was like, this is dope. Like, people I don't care about credit or none of that. I was just like, you got inspired by a picture, and that, the way celebrity work moves is really inspiring in that sense of like people remember it. But my favorite stories are more shedding light on something that people don't necessarily always get a chance to think about or see. Yeah. And that doesn't necessarily have to be, I think a lot of times that type of narrative is applied to more intense stories or trauma-based stories. But I think there's a lot of beautiful stories that I've been assigned that, like, I did a story on a double Dutch tournament in 59th in Columbus Circle in New York, which is it's around the corner of Central Park, and it's like black girls from the whole tri-state area and some boys and whatever. Like, people were there. Like, a lot of black people came together for this amazing multi-generational double Dutch tournament.
That's dope.
And it was just like,
that's crazy.
And I got this assignment. I shot it for like 2 days or something. And whenever I do those kind of assignments, like, I'm only taking pictures for half the time. Like, I'm trying to talk to people. I just kind of walk around. The beauty of a press pass and a camera is people will talk to you. Right. And I honestly abuse it, probably, to be honest. Like, my job's there to take photos, but like, I end up just like, I'd rather kick it. Yeah. But that's a good example, I think, of a story that came across my way that I was so happy to make those photos. Because it's just kind of like, those images will always exist on whatever platform that published that story is, particularly for Vice. But it's, I love the idea of that those girls, as kids get older, and then they like can kind of Google themselves or Google that tournament and find those pictures of them 10 years. It's just like, oh man, that's a tournament we did out. Because some of that probably didn't come to New York that often, right? Right. Or even some of the older people. There's like legacy double Dutch teams that were like well known within that community that like came back together for the first time in whatever amount of time, and that shit was dope. Like, to me, that's like catching that moment. Was, I appreciate getting a chance to do that kind of stuff. Yeah. I recently, actually in Seattle, I just photographed. I did the annual tournament with the First State Golf Club. Okay. Yeah. The what was that? The first black golf club. It's the first black golf club with a home course on the West Coast. I think. Jefferson Park, right? Yeah, Jefferson Park. Yeah. I believe they were the first.
Did you ever get a hold of what's her name, by the way?
Are we calling her out right on air?
I can.
No, I haven't heard from her.
Okay.
But we gonna figure it out.
Let's figure it out. I'm determined.
Let's do it. I would love to be involved with Northwest African American Museum.
Yeah, I'm determined. We'll make that happen.
Which is kind of full circle for me because the school I went to, used to be the school used to be in that building.
Oh, okay.
So it's like I consider Summit a huge part of my life, and then to circle back to a building it was in.
Let's make
really cool.
We will make that happen.
I like that. I like that energy.
Yes. Okay. Nice. And so you just took pictures. So you were saying you just took pictures in Seattle, for State Golf Club.
The first State Golf Club, yeah, and that's just even Bill, the president of the club, I told him about wanting to do it, and he was saying like, oh, this is great. This is great because we want to get everything documented, but also like some older members are starting to pass away. We want pictures. Yeah. We want things documented of this. And it's so true, and especially as the dynamic of the South End and Beacon Hill and everything changes, it means a lot to me knowing that. It means a lot to me that I know I can have that work exist and people can find it and know what was here before.
Absolutely.
I recently went to in January, actually on MLK B-Day. Mm-hmm. I went to Lehigh, the museum or it's on the water, South Lake.
Leshigh?
No, like on South Lake Union is the museum that's right there.
Oh, Mohi.
Sorry,
Mohi.
Yeah, I went to Mohi, and they had this photographer.
Yeah.
And he had this amazing. It's honestly one of the best photo shows I've been to. And he photographed all these speakeasies and nightclubs that are in the Central District where black people were swing dancing and like famous artists would come and perform. I was like, this is the shit that matters, bro.
Yeah.
Because no matter what happens, you can't take that history away.
I forgot what the name of that exhibit was, but it was dope. It was dope. And I only know because our Shelf Life podcast and project was a part of that same exhibit that they did at Mohi. Mm-hmm. And so it was super dope to be able to see those connections. And you're absolutely right. Like without those photos and without that documentation, like then it's just like, oh yeah, well this happened, and
it's the photographer was, for those who want to find him, it was Al Smith. Yep. Was a photographer.
Yep.
I mean the work was amazing. It blew me away.
Absolutely.
I spent so much time in there.
That's
and that's kind of, I feel like I've been thinking about that a lot with photography and just the idea of legacy and history. Mm-hmm. And I think we're inundated by imagery, obviously, right? Social media and everything, and that's fine. I'm not saying it's wrong or it shouldn't exist, but it's like it's very easy to get swept into, like, I think I always joke a good example is like when you go to a concert and people videotape the performance.
Yes.
You ain't never looking at shit again.
Ever.
Like you record it, you show your friends within the week, and then you don't think about it, right?
Right.
And it's just kind of one of those things where we're so used to documenting everything that we're not actually thinking of the importance of documentation, right? It's become like abundant of documenting everything, so you don't realize how important it is to document important things, right?
Yeah.
Even to the like point where I have friends or family that have a major thing that happens in their life, I try to ask, like, one of my good friends was living in New York with me, and he was moving to Paris, and I was like, well, I want to photograph you the studio you work out of. Right? It's not really about this story that needs to be told in that sense, but it was more like, well, you're having a major shift in your life, it's important to capture
this moment,
like in just thinking about photography in that way, whether on a personal level, but also photographing First State Golf Club, because who knows, the city could change. They might knock that down, make it an Amazon fun park or something. Like, you don't fucking know.
Damn it. What are your favorite photos?
My favorite photos? I would say something I go back to a lot, so I guess that's the best way I can think of this process.
/ the photos that inspire you.
Gordon Parks did a series for Gordon Parks, photographer, photojournalist, and he did a whole body of work for Time in the South. And I always kind of go back to that because he kind of moves between these like intimate settings within public settings that are very photojournalistic. So he's like this very formal mentality, obviously, but then he has his relationship with the work where it looks, a lot of his work looks like he was hanging out with the person before he made the photo. It's like, oh, he was in this house and he had a conversation. And oh, by the way, now that we've talked for an hour, can I make this photo? There's this form of intimacy to his photos.
Yeah.
And I think that my biggest fear when I make journalistic work, photojournalistic work, is coldness, being cold, a disconnect. As if I asked someone to go stand somewhere to make a photo.
Right.
Like, or whatever it is. And Gordon Parks is definitely someone who just inspires me in that sense.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's important work to me, and I think I look back a lot too in terms of how he approaches journalism.
Okay. And then favorite album covers.
Favorite album cover?
Yeah.
Covers.
Yeah.
All Eyes on Me.
Okay.
Stankonia.
Okay.
What else? Well, I mean, yes, no, Stankonia. This is more of the graphic design, I guess, aspect, but Dungeon Family.
Okay.
The Dungeon Family DFX, like the one with the like all the dudes in the crazy outfits in a circle.
Yep.
I always thought it was dope because it was the first album package that I saw. It was the first album package I saw that looked like a lot of the editorial work I was into, or what a magazine spreads and things. It had this kind of like life, like day in the life aesthetic to it. The photographer Brian Crosby Plus, I later found out was behind so many pictures I like, which was wild.
Yeah.
It came together when I was like a junior in college.
Okay.
Like I came across his website and I was like, this guy photographed all these West Coast rappers.
Yeah.
That visually had a big inspiration to me. To DJ Quick, a lot of kind of photos I remember seeing of DJ Quick as a kid.
Yeah.
For example.
I gotta put Reasonable Doubt up there.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, hell yeah. Jay-Z had some dope album covers, no doubt.
And then favorite album cover is probably Flesh of My Flesh, Blood of My Blood, DMX.
Oh, with the blood?
Yes.
That was, I think Jonathan Mannion made that. That dude used to shoot hella.
Yeah.
He was kind of the OG for a lot of the album covers.
Yes. That's the wildest album cover.
He has this portrait of DMX with two pit bulls.
Yeah.
Where like I can't remember. It's like either he's out of focus and the pit bulls are in focus, or the pit bulls are in focus. You know, it's like one of those ways. Yeah. But it's like this beautiful black and white film photo, and it's just like they don't do it like that no more. Like, I mean, it's just like that approach to honesty. I mean, I just feel like a lot of art for musicians has to be so crafted. Yeah. Whereas I think a lot of it back then was like, let's just go to your neighborhood and make this photo, which is literally what that Jurassic 5 image was.
Yeah. What would you tell folks who are coming out of school? What advice would you give yourself? Right? Like if you had to go back to 2011, coming out of school, you just moved back to New York, what pieces of advice would you give yourself about getting into this game?
Oh man. Well, it's tricky because it depends on just like, I think my outlook would have been, the advice I would have gave myself is create through the windows of time where it feels like you're really not making gains. Like there's a lot of opportunities for you to just get swept up. Like, so there's a window of time where I was like photo assisting. And I was just really caught off guard of just like how hard it is to become a professional photographer. And I think I just kind of, you hide yourself behind getting money. Right? You're just like, well, I'm just gonna put my head down and just work. Let me just make some money and I'll figure that out later. Yeah. Whereas I think the advice I would have gave myself is you should be always prioritizing creating. Yeah. No matter what. And you gotta pay bills, but like it's easy to, especially in this world we live in, it's easy to convince yourself like, well, I'm getting this money. Like I'm gonna go out here and get this money. Yeah. Or it's like, no, you should be prioritizing, even if it keeps you at a level of money you don't appreciate or whatever kind of stress it brings, or you don't know what the fuck you want to do creating wise. You should just create through it and always kind of prioritize it and put yourself in a position to be working on making things the most. Yeah. What can I do to keep me making stuff?
That's real. Yeah, I literally was just having a conversation with a friend of mine, and I was like, listen, everybody wants the bag. Let's get the bag. We got to get the bag, get to the bag. Like, that's cool. But if it was really just about the bag, we would be doing something lot else. Of disrespectful things. Oh, that's what, in the name of the bag. Right. But somewhere in there, like, a lot of us have the moral compass and the value system. That means that even though we're not admitting it to ourselves or our friends, that it's way more than just about the bag. Hell for sure.
Yeah. And you see that happen. I think for me it was kind of, and you get in this position where, a lot of people I'm sure can relate to is, I'm not just thinking about me. I'm thinking about the wellness of my family. I'm make sure my parents can retire. So there's certain guilt that can easily, I don't want to say guilt, but you responsibilities that can keep you like you hide yourself behind this idea of selflessness. Yeah. like, oh, well, if I secure myself financially, this and that can happen. I'll make sure this can't happen.
Right.
You know, especially when this South End was flipping and making sure my mom would be okay in this house. And
Yeah.
me and my brother were always thinking about these things, but you end up hiding yourself behind. But then I lost years of not really making much work.
Right.
I wouldn't say lost. I was, you know, obviously doing other things I'm very happy I did, but I think I should have been creating the whole time.
Right.
Right
For
out of school.
sure.
Just keep making stuff. You know?
For sure. And then just advice for up and coming photographers. Like, what cameras would you recommend? If you balling on a budget, what would you use to be taking these pictures? And all of that.
I think in terms of people who are trying to do it professionally, first of all, it's fine if you just want to be a serious hobbyist.
Yeah.
I want to make that very clear. Like, I feel like a lot of people think because they really get into pictures and people ask them to do photo shoots and stuff, that's great.
Right.
Don't feel like you need to transition into it full, because it is ultimately a hustle. That's freelance, and it's hard, not always, but like it's a different frame of thought when it's all you're thinking about. And I think some people can get caught out in thinking they have to make a living off it just because they're even good at it. Like, yo, do a gallery show sometimes or whatever, but it doesn't have to be your whole world. I understand. That's
real.
fine. And emails are free. That's like I get Instagram DMs from like younger photographers a lot. And I was like, do you have any advice? I'm like, emails are free. Shoot 30 emails off a day. No one's ever gonna be mad at you for emailing them.
Right.
No one's gonna blacklist you for put you. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like,
That's real.
who cares, bro? Email literally this. If you get CEO of Def Jam on there, you know what I mean? Like, whatever. Like, who cares? Email them. See what happens. Get a bounce back.
Right.
In terms of equipment, I think it's kind of hard for me just because you don't really. It's not really the equipment at the end of the day, right? But if I'm gonna get a little technical for you, if you can't afford that good of a camera body, just get a really nice piece of glass. Like, if you get good lens, so if you had a bulk of money that you're looking to get into photography, digital photography and film, but digital particularly, don't worry about the camera body. Like, you'll do what you needed to do more or less.
Right.
Get a nice piece of a nice lens, and a nice lens will give you the better image. You know what I'm saying? Like, the size of a sensor ultimately is what, like, it's important for, outside of getting into details, it's important for how big you can make the image or whatever, which most people aren't thinking about that. So getting a nice piece of glass typically is, I think, smarter than worrying about like the most expensive camera.
Yeah. And then what do you shoot with now?
I have a Nikon D810,
which
is like my digital body. It's not even the newest one to lend you to what I was just saying. I have a D810, and then I shoot a lot of film. So I have two medium format cameras. So it's one of them's 6:9, a Fuji 6:9, so it's like a huge negative. Another one's 6:4:5, which is just, those are just the crop ratios. So I have a 6:9 camera and a 6:4:5 camera. And then I have a little point and shoot film camera that I do a lot of, honestly, if I can, I do some assignment work with that too. They just all kind of, it's more about the way I interact with the camera when I'm shooting. That changes when I want to use it.
And then what lens do you use for the Nikon?
I stick with primes. Like, I don't really, I worked for this photographer once years ago, and he said something I thought was so funny. He said, if you use a prime lens, which a prime lens is a set focal, so not a zoom lens. If you use a prime lens, it forces you to find the good photo instead of making the good photo. When you're zooming, it's like, if you need more in the frame, you'll zoom out, or if you want to get close, you know, where that's you're literally you're making the picture. What you're saying is, if you stick yourself to a set focal distance, it forces you to find a good photo. And then that typically is a photo that's not made very often. Which I appreciated.
That's real.
And that stuck with me hard body. I was like, yep, fuck with that. Primes only.
Are there any camera brands that you wouldn't use?
No. Not really.
That's a dangerous question.
It is, right? People go hard for that stuff. I personally am of the opinion, like, all this shit go hard. Like, all of it's good now. Maybe in 95 you had to worry about who was making the bop shit, but like now, like, all these you can get your hand on dope shit no matter what brand you're into. It honestly is a very literal how you shoot now. It's literally down to how you think you should. Like, I used a Sony camera for an assignment the other day that my homie let me borrow, and I hated it.
Yeah.
But that was only because it was just I wasn't used to that experience.
That's not my camera. Yeah.
You know what I mean? In the way I think, in the digital aspects of that camera, I didn't.
Right.
So it's really just how you do.
Is there anything that you see on the internet, like either with professional photographers or with cell phone photography, that you either want to call out, it irritates you, you wish people would just do this to make it better, or any advice in from that realm?
I think for me, it's more, and I would love to hear someone explain themselves to me. I just think the internet's inundated with a lot of like just pictures of pretty people.
Yeah.
And my outlook, like portraits are just, okay, that's an attractive person.
Yeah.
I think my only thing is it gets confusing is like, okay, that's dope. It's a beautiful photo of a beautiful person.
Yeah.
What's next? So what for you? Literally answer that for me. Like, what's next? You have, let's say you make 1,000 of these this year. Do you want to do a gallery show of those people? Do you like those people?
Right.
Do you want people to know those people?
Right.
Like, I just don't get the point of just pictures of hella pretty people all the time. Yeah, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, with no real reasoning. I just want to know, like, what are we doing? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, look, a dope portrait is a dope portrait. I just get kind of confused, like, when someone's like, hey, you should check out this photographer, and I open their Instagram, and it's just, like, scantily clad women in a window. Right. And I'm just like, bro, like, that's cool. That's what's up. You know, I don't know. I can't.
Right. That's true.
I just don't know what the fuck you're doing with those photos. Like, what are we doing here? Like, I don't know. Hope you get your money, I guess, but I don't know what we're doing.
Yeah. That's real.
It's more confusion. Just to be clear, I want no one on here think I'm like going at nobody. It's more like
no,
I just don't really know what. Okay, that's what's up. Cool.
Yeah. So shoot with some intention.
Yeah, intention. Like, and it doesn't have to be a photojournalistic. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like some long story about your grandma or something. I'm just saying, like, I don't know. Give me something more than just a pretty person. Right. I just don't know what I'm supposed to do with that. Absolutely. Because there's plenty of that on the internet. Absolutely. Right.
And then how can people find your work?
You can find me on Instagram, I guess. That's a good one. Meron, MERON _photo. Okay. Is my Instagram. Nice. That's where work things happen.
You got the website as well?
Oh, yeah. It's just Meron, MERON photography.com.
Okay. And then what's next?
What's next? Yeah. Who knows? What's next? Trying to figure out. I've been pitching a lot of stories to magazines to try and get on the pitch tip. Yeah. That would be cracking because I think that a lot of these editors appreciate when you have a perspective they've never heard of or they're not thinking about. Yeah. That's nice because it merges the position of work and things I actually really am invested emotionally in thinking about into. I would love to merge those worlds. So that's kind of what next, I guess. Yeah. We also have some personal projects we've been working on. Hopefully the Northwest African American thing. Yep.
Let's get it done.
But just kind of like the work part is fun. Yeah. But I'm here now. I'm in a position now in life, for whatever reason, that I think I'm ready to try to figure out how do I get more than just other photographers involved. How do I get my community involved? How do I start thinking about things in a way where we can all document and encourage each other to stay together.
And congratulations on your event that you just had down in Mount Baker as well. And so there was a dope turnout. I was only able to stop by for a second, but made sure it was there. No, it was great. And then last question, which is usually our first question, if you had to come up with a title of the name of either your biopic or a book about your life, what would it be?
I would say it would be called Well Fed. And that's something me and my friends have always kind of, a phrase we've always kind of thrown around because it's like, not rich but wealthy, right? Yeah. Like we're well fed emotionally and community-wise. Yeah. And I guess that's what it would probably be.
That's real. That's real. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yes.
This is Meron, and you just listened to the No Blueprint podcast.
If you liked what you heard, be sure to donate so we can keep going. We are on SoundCloud, iTunes, and YouTube, so be sure to subscribe, rate, and comment. You have no idea how much it helps. We also want to know what you think. You can hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and you can even use the hashtag NoBlueprint. And if you're really down with the movement, you can join our Patreon account and become a patron, where you'll get exclusive content and limited edition merchandise. No Blueprint is powered by Ambassador Stories. We share stories of the people, places, and spaces that bring soul to our communities. No Blueprint is recorded at Ambassador Stories Studios and co-produced with me, Maya Aina. Hear more episodes of No Blueprint and get official No Blueprint merchandise at noblueprintpodcast.com.